Welcome to the Community Giving Foundation's annual meeting. We're so happy to be here. We were thrilled with the expected attendance and just seeing this foundation family on the screen warms my heart. So thanks for those of you who are in your cars, driving to Florida or the airport, or in your offices or your homes. Thanks for joining us here this morning for our update and our review and our 2022, what's coming. So first of all, we are in Zoom happiness. We're going to call it Zoom happiness anyway. You know, our staff made a conscious decision to do our annual meeting on Zoom. Not so much because of the world, although that certainly contributed, but so that we could really get to so many of you, so many who wouldn't be able to join us, who can through the telephone and through our computers. So we were thrilled with 130 of you wanting to be with us this morning. So that is why we chose Zoom. Of course, with Zoom, there are some rules and etiquette. If you would be kind enough to mute, just so that we avoid some of that sound distraction, that would be great. You saw that we are recording the annual meeting, and we'll have it on our website, and we'll have it for our archives. And for anybody who missed it, they'll be able to check in and to see us. So thank you so much. I'd like to first start with our token of appreciation. You may have gotten these awesome cards, the giving cards, we're calling them. It's like our little game that was created. And great branding, right? With our green rubber band. I was so excited about the green rubber band. But it's really just a small token and a fun opportunity for you all to share your stories with your families, with your friends. It's 15 cards, 7 of them that are activity cards and 7 of them that are discussion cards. And of course, I would suggest a nice bottle of Chardonnay some evening or a cup of hot tea. And I think it will make for some good discussion with your family and with your friends. We did, again, Katie, our girl, produced another annual report. And here it is. It is on our website. I'd love for you to go there and visit. If you'd like a hard copy, we're happy to send you one. I love that we're rebranding. When we rebranded, we can continue to change up and be exciting, but you still know it's us. And I love that. This is the 3rd one that Katie has produced. They look a little different, but you all know that we're all from the same group. And so I'm so happy about that. And I'm happy for you to check us out on the website. The website has come millions and millions of miles, thanks to Katie. So I do appreciate our efforts to keep you all informed in such an exciting way. My message this year in the annual report really highlighted some of the resources that our staff put together in the last year. The dashboard, for those of you, I hope that you've all seen the dashboard, but that was a new initiative last year that we embarked on, and it has certainly come in handy for our affiliate boards and our regional board and our fund holders, to give them a snapshot of who we are and what's happening. It's cumulative, so every 2 months we update it. The Giving Workbook, I'm hoping that you've all had a chance to see it. We use it for everyone, ages, I'll say our youth and philanthropy, all the way up to, Gladys. So Gladys was our one of our latest fund holders, and she read it cover to cover and gave us a thumbs up. So that was another resource that was produced. Our advisor portal, this was a huge embarking with our new software. And I do believe that we're getting more and more and more people signed on to our advisor portal, for which we're really excited about. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say that our stories continue. And that's what we're all about. Today, we're going to take you on a little bit of a journey, your story too. I want you to think about your story. We're going to think about, what are the passions behind your philanthropy? We're going to talk about what motivates you. We're going to talk about when you witnessed the first time, philanthropy for the first time. I've shared this with one or two people. I'm going out on a limb here to share it with you all, but I failed miserably at my first witness of philanthropy. I was in third grade. My mom used to give me 50 cents, and Sister Ann Rita would hold the mission box. Remember the cardboard mission box? Well, unfortunately, Sister Ann Rita had a little competition, and it was a beautiful entrepreneur named Mr. Softy. And so I had to make a choice. I could give my 50 cents to the missions, or I could buy the ice cream. Well, I failed because in Sister Ann Rita's eyes, I failed because I bought the ice cream. But I have a feeling that Sister Ann Rita, in some way, somewhere, is smiling down at me. I made my choices about philanthropy as I got older. But I would ask you all just to think about, when was the first time? Maybe it was a success for you at a young age. Maybe it was a failure like mine. I don't know, but it had an impact on me. And I certainly have a vivid memory of it. We're going to take you through a little bit of a journey with some of our speakers today about that. In the beginning, you saw this beautiful photo. It said, thank you. They were our regional board members. They are also on our website, and they are also in our annual report. I'm not going to name them all, but each is special. I see so many who are past board members on our call today, many of our current board members. We appreciate you so much, and the support and the ambassadorship that you give to us every day. Along with all of our affiliate boards, I see all of you out there. We currently have 5 now: Berwick, Bloomsburg, Danville, Sunbury, Selinsgrove. We're better because of all of you. We're better. And I think that Bonnie said it yesterday in a meeting that I was with her. She said, we are all connected now, all of us. It doesn't matter whether you're Selinsgrove, Sunbury, Bloomsburg, Berwick, we are all connected as one foundation family. And that was our intent, and we appreciate that. Our Women's Giving Circle, our Youth in Philanthropy, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what school you attend, we're all connected as one. Our staff, you saw their pictures in the beginning. We are a strong group of 8 now. When I got here, I think that we were 4 or 5, and we are currently at 8. And I am so proud of those 7 other people that make us our foundation team. I indebted to them, and I am indebted to their passion, the work that they do here every day. Our stewardship plan, just to take you on a little bit of a 2022 thought. Many of you might know we've done some strategy work in the past couple of years, and one of our superpowers was personalization, personal relationships. And we really focused on that for the last 2 years, how to strengthen that, how to make them better. How do we become the first choice for charitable giving? And so we really strategize on a regular basis to continue to be that choice for people. And this year, we really started the thought to brainstorm about, okay, well, personalization and personal relationships are always going to be our number one, but now where do we focus? And we've made the decision to focus on stewardship. Stewardship for us is really looking at how are we good stewards for the current stakeholders, the current fund holders, our current boards, our past boards. How do we continue to be good stewards for them? How are we, what kind of strategies can we choose to be good stewards for prospective foundation family, fund holders and stakeholders? What kinds of things can each of our departments do to really hone in on strategies for our prospective folks, the people who are trying to get to know us a little better and who we're trying to get to know a little better? And then, of course, we want to look at our current boards, our affiliate boards, our regional board, our staff, And we want to continue to do some self-care for us and for them as well with our stewardship plan. So there'll be more of that to come in 2022. We have started recently to put a calendar, an operations calendar together to highlight some of the things that we really want to do in 2022 with stewardship. But that'll be a word that we continue to use, and it'll evolve as the year goes on. But there is more to come with that. I guess it's time for me to introduce one of our current board members. He joined our board a couple of years ago. He is currently the chair of the Bloomsburg affiliate. And John is going to talk to us a little bit about some of those resources that I highlighted. So John, would you take it away?
I sure will. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I was told when Katie Simpson and Kara C. Schultz asked me to do this, there's a couple things I needed to mention and with what Holly had to say. But one, if you haven't had a chance to go to our website, CS Giving, do so. There's 5 major categories there. You will just find a wealth of information about this incredible organization. And Holly also mentioned the workbook. Go look at the thing. It's pretty cool. It's got crossword puzzles. It's got games in it. Teaches you about philanthropy, what foundations are all about, and about giving. And she just mentioned already the dashboard, which is a really neat tool that the staff created probably over a year ago. And it gives a snapshot on an annual basis and then 5 times a year. So I think it's produced about 5 times during the year. And it's the annual report, and then it gives the affiliate report. So I get to tell you all the good numbers that are there for 2021. In the end of 2021, we surpassed $84 million of assets. That's a record for the foundation, the whole history of it. We had about $7 million plus of net income. Our investments were about $72 million. Again, that was a record. That was an increase of $8 million over the prior year. Returns, believe it or not luck. We're working with a good group from Wilmington Trust. We're a tad under 14%. In 2020, we were at, excuse me if I have to refer to some of these things, 15.3. So after the last 4 years, we've been averaging about 12 or 13% return based on some incredible markets. 2018, it was just a disaster. We bounced back in 19. We've had 2 years of nothing but the pandemic, but absolutely incredible, good stuff to talk about. There's one part on the dashboard I think you'll all be thrilled about. There were 642 grants made, okay, totaling almost $4 million, 3.8. Think about this neat little foundation covering 5.5 counties. And I think the one part I like the most is the scholarships that were awarded. There were 258, totaling $286,000, almost $1,500 per scholarship to kids so they could further their higher education or other aspects of their life. So it's just nice stuff to be able to report to you. And in the fact that we had 2 incredibly rough years with the pandemic, we received 2,660 gifts, almost $3 million. Think about that, the philanthropy, the giving that people are inclined to do for this foundation, and brought us to like 322 funds that this staff has worked to get. And 29 of them were created during this year, and they transcended all the 5.5 counties. So I think that's absolutely incredible work, and we all as interested people, board members, as staff should just be thrilled by it. And then there's another part. I'm part of this incredible group of audit and finance committee. The whole board, the way I look at this, is filled with people with incredible talents, all concerned about philanthropy, about the foundation. But I am blessed to be able to be part of these people and their great minds and their great ideas. So some of the things that go on with this audit and finance committee on a quarterly basis are we're in charge of looking at the audit that's done every year. The audit is our report card, like our educator here, Holly, we get graded. And every year, it's called Meyer Dussel out of Camp Hill, they come in, they look at our facts and figures, see if they're fairly reported. And one of the things we found out, looked back and found an unqualified opinion is the best you can get. And we've never had a qualified opinion in the history of the foundation. I find that just absolutely incredible. Another thing that we do is we look at a spending policy. How much every year are we going to give out from our pot of, so to speak, gold? This year for 2022 was established at 4.25. Prior to that is 5%. The methodology we use is actually pretty good. We look at everything that we consider, so we kind of made a note of that, and so for future years we can do it on a consistent basis. Recently, in the end of 2020, 2021, we looked at our investment policy. It hadn't been reviewed in a long time. It's a 5 or 6 page document. We went by line by line, item by item. If we didn't understand the terminology, we asked what it was, we defined it, and we had as a committee and then sent it to the board. So that gets looked at again on an annual basis. All these things I'm talking about are on an annual basis and part of the calendar. I think that Holly and the staff have created a checklist so that we don't miss these things as we move forward. One of the other things we did for 2022, not that we made money in all these other years, but it was always how much revenue are we going to have come in. We went to what we call a balanced budget. Everybody seems to use them, and it worked. We went through 3 revisions, came up with a balanced budget, and I think what it will enable us to do as we move forward is to have an unrestricted fund so that we can keep some things like fees to our stakeholders to keep those low. So that's a very proud. I did touch on the fact that things, the audit function policies are all committed to, to a calendar so that we can keep track of them. We can say, hey, did we do this? Did we forget about it? Really, it sounds simple, but it's very integral to what the foundation is doing. The committee actually meets twice a year with Al Miali, our accountant, and we go over some things. We scrutinize things that have been done, credit card statements, the employee benefits, the reconciliation. So those are the behind the scenes that we don't do. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Wilmington Trust, our advisors, Chris Sporick and Dave Shimshak. We are in constant contact with them. We went to them a number of months ago, years ago, and just said, we need to have a better dialogue. We want to know what you guys are doing and keep moving there. So that's another integral part. That's how we got to the 84 million, the $72 million in assets. But I can't tell you how much I enjoy being part of this. And thank you for the opportunity for you folks taking the time to listen. The folks that do know me would go here, because I will go on and on. I'm passionate about this group as I'm sure the rest of you are. And I get the pleasure now. I'm looking at her smiling face. There's 2 people who never have a frown on their face. It's Kara C. Schultz, and she's going to tell you, lead into some stories and some really fine people that have stories to tell to all of us. Thanks. Hope you have a great Friday.
Thank you very much, John. It's really great. John was here within the last or so, and he visits, as many of our board members do. And he had said when he tried to see our youth philanthropy program happening here in our conference rooms with Christine and Carrie, said, wouldn't it be great if everybody could just come in here and see the work that's being done and just be a part of it? So I thought that was really neat when he said that. And we certainly encourage any and all of you to just come by our foundation building and come in. Our office hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. But we would love to have you come here and visit and just see all of us in person. So if you ever want to do that, give us a shout and have us. But it'd be great to see them. And I love all the information that John shared with, of course, with Holly, just sharing from her heart and some stories to get us going. And, we're here because of all of you. And behind all of that due diligence that we do and all of our departments at the foundation and our investments and our grant making and all of our messaging and rebranding, what makes all of that the best it can be are the stories each and every one of us has to share. And that's where it all comes from. So what we are going to do, we've asked 3 of the foundation to share some of their giving stories this morning. And we've given them each a little prompt to start with. And so I'm just going to tell you the 3 people we have sharing this morning. First will be Eric Rao. He is on the board of our Community Giving Foundation Selinsgrove affiliate. And he's just an amazing person. And share a and Donna will be next. She is on the board, very active in the community, and she'll share a story too. And Pearson, she is with us in a lot of different ways, starting a scholarship fund for a dear friend who was lost too soon. She does a lot of work with N4Cs in Benton and also organizations in our community here. We have 3 great speakers. So I'll hand it over to you, Eric, to share your story and then go right into Donna. Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you, Kara, I hope I have enough of the brand exposed this morning from my living room here or whatever. What I'd like to speak to today isn't so much as my personal giving story. That involves the Selinsgrove community and the Selinsgrove Area School District. But what I would like to talk about are 3 things that I believe everybody on this Zoom meeting this morning has in common, and it's what makes us who we are. And the first of these, and this is the word that you hear so often in regards to the Community Foundation and philanthropy, is the word passion. As I reflected upon today, I thought about, people looking for the passion or whatever, but I believe that through our life and events that occur in our life, our passion finds us. Whether it's a tragic event, that motivates you to put a memorial scholarship, it's a natural disaster that you want to create a relief fund, it's your love for animals, it's anything, but that passion finds you. We don't get up in the morning looking. It's where we live, it's what we do, finds us. And what separates this group from everybody else, and there's nothing wrong with everybody else, is what we do with that passion. Once that passion gets into our heart and soul, what do we do about it? And I think there's 2 statements that I know affect me. And I think one of the biggest ones, or one of the ones that really drives me, is when you're somewhere and something happens or something's occurring and somebody stands up and says, somebody ought to do something about that. And this group with the foundation, these are the people that do something about it. This is what drives us to address all of the issues that are involved in our passion and then bettering the community or addressing whatever comes along with that passion. So rather than just say, somebody ought to do something, and walk out of the room. No, we draw the line in the sand and say, I am going to do something. And the third part is, what do we do? Well, we all have time and resources, and that is basically, let's put our money where our mouth is. And that can be the money, and it can also be the time, because we all know that time is money. And all of the caring stories, mine and everyone else's, that's what it is. We step up and we start a scholarship, we start a fund, we join a board, we join a nonprofit, but we are putting our money where our mouth is. And it's those three things really that once they all come together, once the passion finds us, gets in our heart and soul, we step up and we put our time and our money where our mouth is. This is what creates and what improves the quality of life in our valley, and what's these all coordinated, or whatever you want to call it, with the Giving Foundation is what makes this group unique. You've got to have the passion, step up, put your money where your mouth is, and that's what separates everybody on this Zoom. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, I'm Donna Cush, like Kara said, and I'm with the Danville branch. My question to ponder was, when do I remember first witnessing philanthropy? And so I probably had similar stories to Holly of big fails. I did not go back that far. My memory is more that I'm going to share today is more based on one that probably had the greatest impact on me and that set me on the path that I currently find myself. I grew up with parents that, volunteered their time for sporting teams or, Girl Scout troop leaders, things like that. But I felt like the real meaning of philanthropy is the selfless giving of something. And so my story was probably a little over 10 years ago. My youngest was going to elementary school, and here in Danville at the time, there was 4 different elementary schools, and they went through a redistricting. So they sent students to different elementary schools than they were going to before. So there was a small elementary school, Riverside Elementary, that all of a sudden had this new population of students coming to their school. And this teacher's aide took notice to this new group of students that were now coming there, were coming to school hungry on Monday mornings. And so she was shocked by this. And so she took it upon herself. She knew these students were involved or already enrolled in free and reduced lunch. So while they were in school, they were getting a breakfast and a lunch and were okay. But when they came on Monday mornings, all of a sudden they were hungry. So she took it upon herself to purchase food items to send home with this. I think it was 30 students at the time. Staff caught on, donated food, and all of a sudden they were sending home 30 full bags with these students. So my son went to a different elementary school, and news of this program, Thrown Together program, caught on, and they wanted it to happen at the elementary school that my son was all of a sudden going to. So 5 or 6 of us, hopped in to make sure this happened. And for me, it just stuck with me, something that I never really thought about, and something I encourage, now my kids especially, to get out of your own little bubble. But this woman just saw a need, selfless act, jumped on it, followed through, just like Eric was just saying, put your money where your mouth is. She saw a need and she filled it. And it became so big that she couldn't anymore. Thankfully, there was plenty of other Danville community members that were willing to help out. And this program now, still today, I'm still involved in, still means a lot to me, and has really set me on a huge path. It's called Many Hands Helping Others with the Good Samaritan Mission. And it grew to now that we send home 200 bags a week to students that it could help them over the weekend with any food insecurities that they have. And for me, that was my first, I guess, eye-opening experience with philanthropy. And it is amazing to me, and has now just set me on a path that now has me involved with this group of people, that I find the whole process of it all very amazing. But yeah, so that's my story. So thank you.
Thanks, Donna. I'm going to apologize right away in advance because I'm literally terrified of public speaking and I usually avoid it at all costs. But I was talking to Kara recently just about the importance of giving back specifically here in our community and how cool it was that I've been able to see kind of both sides of the giving and receiving ends here in our community. So I agreed to share my story. To be honest, one of my favorite things about this area is how generous and philanthropic it is as a whole. I graduated from Berwick High School, but I was one of those teenagers that was ready to run away from small town living and be out in the real world. And so when I graduated, I ran away to college as fast as I could. And then I moved to Florida a couple of different times. But in the long run, I'm honestly grateful for all those experiences because until I went out and experienced different places, I didn't realize just how considerate and generous our area and our community really is. So I've worked in the nonprofit field for the majority of my professional career. And currently I manage the N4Cs, which is a community center in Benton. And I'm also the program coordinator at the teen center here in Berwick. And people don't realize how much nonprofits actually do rely on the grant funding like we get from the foundation and other places. At the N4Cs, people think, oh, it's a gym, people pay for memberships, but they don't really realize how much more goes on behind the scenes that we rely on grant funding for. So in the past, we've run programs. We use grants for programs such as our summer kids camp. We have over 70 kids involved. 30% of those kids actually receive scholarships and wouldn't be able to attend without them. We have a SURF fund, which is our community emergency relief fund. And that provides emergency assistance to anyone in our area that needs it. A lot of that's like fuel assistance. So when people get into an emergency situation and they desperately need heat in the winter, but they don't necessarily have the funds, we can kind of step in and help them out with that. We've also done other community outreach. We gave meals during COVID for families to come get if they were in need of them. We ran a school age program for kids to come do their virtual schooling at the center while the schools were shut down for the pandemic. So if their parents were working or if they didn't have Wi-Fi, they could come to the center and we would help them with their schoolwork. We would help them get through their virtual school day. And in Benton, I'm not going to lie, there's not great internet access. So we had a decent amount of kids that just wouldn't have been able to get through their school day without being able to come and use our Wi-Fi. So none of this kind of stuff would be possible without the grant funding that we receive. And then you look at places like the Teen Center, and they don't have any source of income other than grants or donations or fundraisers. And the Teen Centers, it's so much more than just a place for teens to drop in and hang out. We offer free meals and snacks for all the kids that come in. A lot of these kids wouldn't necessarily get a hot meal. Like Donna just said, they wouldn't necessarily get a hot meal otherwise. But we also offer other programs. We have one-on-one tutoring, educational programming. We have mental health programming and initiatives, all of which is funded by grants that Tressa, the Teen Center director, she puts so much of her time into finding these grants, applying for them and using them for all these programs. And without it, they just wouldn't be possible. And we know we're not alone. Every single nonprofit, I'm sure there's a ton of people on this call, every nonprofit in our area relies on grant funding. And it really is just so vital to the organizations in our area. I feel like that's one of the most important parts of community giving. And then on the flip side of that, I did recently experience the giving side of community giving. So in April of 2019, a lifelong friend of mine, Justin Slusser, passed away from stage 4 melanoma just before his 30th birthday. And everyone that came into contact with him was just influenced by his infectious energy. And he just made such an impact on everyone around him that we knew immediately that we wanted to do something to keep his legacy alive. So myself, his parents, and then a couple other of our closest friends decided that we wanted to set up a scholarship in his name. I had zero experience other than just hearing from some other people that I knew that had set up scholarships in the past. So I set up a meeting with Kara and was educated on the process of developing a fund here at the foundation. And the Justin Pete Slusser Memorial Fund was born. So Justin was just always 100% authentically himself. So we knew it was important to keep in that spirit. So when we were developing our scholarship, we decided that instead of focusing strictly on academic performance, we wanted the students to be able to tell us about their most unwavering character trait and why it's important to stay true to themselves. We've given out our scholarship twice now, and after meeting both of the recipients, they made it a point to tell us how grateful they were that there was a scholarship that they could apply for based on being themselves and not necessarily having to focus on their academic achievements. And one of them, actually, he even sought us out just to tell us how much the scholarship meant to him and what an impact it made. So we knew right in that moment that starting the scholarship was exactly the right move. So that's my story specifically, but my point to all this is just that whether you're on the giving end or the receiving end, or maybe you're like me and you've been lucky enough to experience both sides of community giving, it really is undeniable just how important it is to so many people and organizations. And I've seen firsthand what a significant difference can be made. And like I mentioned earlier, I think we're just extremely lucky to be part of a community that emphasizes the importance of giving back.
Thank you so much, all three of you. And Danielle, I don't think you needed to start with saying you were good at public speaking, because that was amazing. And I believe it was amazing because you spoke right from the heart, which is what you do all the time. So thank you all very much. And, you know, you heard a lot about passion and individual passion and doing work in the community that is good, and it also fulfills you and makes you feel good. And that is, and you've heard this, our giving workbook, as we introduced this last year, and you've heard it be referenced several times this morning, but our giving book really just gives every opportunity to walk through what they're giving being like, what is their philanthropy about, and we focus on very much that personalized discovery of what your passion is. So as you go through that book, you will probably learn a lot just about yourself and what you really want to do, and how many options are available to you when you work our community foundation. So many different types of funds and ways that we can work together to make your philanthropy happen. And make you happy and feel real about it. So I just wanted to share a story too, actually, of my own that happened last year. And as you look at all these pieces that we offer and all the materials that we have there, I had the opportunity in November to visit, thanks to two of our members on Dan's board, put me in touch with Gladys McGill in Danville. And I walked into her home and I was just surrounded by stories, photos, and picture frames. And you could just feel the warmth in her home because she made sure to just surround herself with all of that. And we talked. And what was so wonderful was watching her pull out our materials that her daughter Liz had sent to her, so that she could read and go through that giving workbook and go through the information that we provided. And she referenced those. And it was just pretty amazing to see that so many people using tools, and that's what we hope for. And just being able to work with someone like that and build a fund that is really describes the legacy of their family together. And that book helped us do that, and met with them again. And she had a birthday. I'm not going to share her age, but she had a big birthday, I think a month ago. And her daughter Liz sent us a picture, and they were all wearing crowns and celebrating her birthday. And they were all just so happy to see this fund established. And another story too is, and I met with a couple yesterday about legacy planning, and they read a story that they saw Katie put out of one of our most recent scholarship funds that was established in honor of Stanley Gum. And that scholarship is, again, a really great example of personalizing a fund to honor someone and a family. And when it all started happening, you know, the story was put together as far as why that scholarship was being established and what it meant to them. And then to hear it yesterday referenced, like that was really special. Like that is just a great scholarship. And those are all the good things, you know, that are happening. And so many of them are happening here in our communities. And again, it's all thanks to you. So what we would like to do now is really just, we're going to break out into some breakout sessions, and we're going to have about 6 or so people in each one. So I'm asking each of you to just stay on with us. We are going to end at 9:30, but we're going to go ahead and go into breakouts. Katie's going to put you in those just for about 10-12 minutes, and we're going to keep the storytelling going as we like to do. So go ahead, Katie, and then we'll join back in, and Mike Flock will be closing us out.
Hi, my name is Mike Flock, and I was asked to close out today's meeting. Thank you all for coming. This has been a great day of information and stories. I joined the Selinsgrove Area Community Foundation back in the early 2000s and eventually became the president. I almost immediately was asked to be on the board of the Community Giving Foundation in Berwick, as we were one of the new affiliates. And so I had this dual role for many years. When I joined Selinsgrove, we had $450,000. Doesn't sound like a lot, but with a seed of $10,000 just 10 years before, it was pretty impressive to me. This year, we ended the year with $2.6 million, which is phenomenal. Back then, the Community Giving Foundation had 37 million. They were just getting going too. Today, they have a staggering 84 million. And so as I look back, I think to myself, well, how did all this good stuff happen? And it's really about the way we've been telling this the last couple of years. The growth is a result of hundreds, actually thousands of stories being told by the foundation themselves, telling the story of what a foundation can do, how it can bring together people's dreams and aspirations and build a legacy. It's the stories of individuals talking about their family and why giving is important to them. It's the staff telling the story to the individual organizations in their community about how the foundation might help them do good, help them continue to do the things that they've set out to do. It's the organizations telling their stories to lots of people about how the foundation's grant made it possible for them to keep their doors open, maybe, to offer new things and possibly take their mission to a level that might not have been possible. It's hundreds, possibly thousands of students telling their stories about how a foundation gave them a grant so they could go to college, so they could fulfill their dreams of higher education. It's the stories that the foundation has made a point and a priority of telling students about what philanthropy is and how they can make a difference in their community with the Youth in Philanthropy program that's been going on now for years. And I am especially proud to have been involved in that in many different ways. As someone else earlier mentioned, if you can ever go to one of the grants award days for the Youth in Philanthropy program, do it. It's phenomenal to see young kids making an impressive difference in their communities. Donors like yourselves have been telling stories about how the affiliation with this foundation has enriched your life, has fulfilled something that maybe you didn't even know you needed. So where are we going in the future with the Community Giving Foundation? As I thought about this, I thought about the fact that the only way it can go forward is continuing with these stories. Each of you has a story, And I suggest that each of your stories is compelling, even if you don't think so. I would say to you, never minimize the ability for you to influence someone else to do good. And so today, in closing, I'd like to ask everyone on this call to somehow commit in the next year that you will sit down with another individual, with a couple, maybe another family member, and tell your story. And encourage them to become part of this bigger initiative of the foundation. Because with us telling stories and continuing to tell stories, we can only grow bigger. And that bigness allows us to do more, reach more within our communities, within the region. And so thank you all for joining us today. This has been a great experience.